Hi there, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lee and I like to talk about anime, manga, Korean dramas, and fashion. So if you are into any of that, then stick around. Today I'm going to be sharing with you my top 10 Korean dramas of 2022. Now, I feel like I watched a fair amount of Korean dramas this year. I didn't watch as many as I wished I had, but I feel like I didn't struggle to pick 10 that I watched. There is one in here that did not come out in 2022. It came out in 2021. However, I just watched it and I had to include it. So let's just jump right into it. Starting off with number 10 is Love in Contract, starring actress Park Min-young. It is about undeniably attractive, talented, and charming Choi Sang-eun, and she is living the definition of the perfect partner and perfect wife. This is exactly why, instead of marrying, she chooses to employ her skills as a contract marriage master. Transforming herself into the perfect partner for each of her clients, Sang-eun allows those who employ her services to live the perfect single life without having to agree to a committed lifelong relationship. A long-term client of hers is Jung Ji-ho, and he's been using her services every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for the past 5 years. A man shrouded in mystery, she knows nothing about him, but that doesn't stop her from developing some rather unexpected feelings for him. Making her life even more difficult are the equally unexpected feelings she recently developed for one of her newest clients, Kang Hae-jin, the popular actor who employs her services on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Torn between her professional obligations and the feelings she harbors for both Ji-ho and Hae-jin, Sang-eun finds herself in an unexpected predicament. Now, the thing about this drama, which this makes it seem very fluttery and cute and all of that, which it is. However, I had such major second lead syndrome watching this drama. I didn't love the male lead. I had a really hard time connecting to him. I had a really hard time liking him. And in the beginning, for some reason, they kind of make it seem like this is going to be like a murder mystery. And I went into this drama having no thoughts, no expectations, no knowledge of it. I just kind of started it because I saw she was starring in it and I was like, oh, I loved her in a bunch of other dramas. Let's see what she's doing right now. So I watched it. Didn't like him at the beginning. I was like, is this a murder mystery? And did he murder someone? And it's all about her discovering that he murdered someone. And then they just kind of ignore that and they move past it, which is a little weird to me. They also don't mention in this description, however, she is from a very wealthy Korean family. She's a chaebol, but she leaves them. The whole point of her upbringing was to design her to be the perfect wife for whoever her family decided would be the best economic connection for them and business connection for them. And she basically ruins one of the marriage appointments that they have for her and she runs away. So that's brought up a lot in this. Here's where I start getting into some spoilers. They had one flashback scene where she ruins this dinner. They used it so many times that it just got annoying because it wasn't like they showed different aspects of the same scene. It was literally the same scene, literally the same lines, same actions, same movements until the last 2 episodes. And that just got really annoying for me. I liked how her backstory was connected to the second male lead more. His family was the family she was supposed to marry into. He was the youngest son and she is his first love. I think that is more connected and I liked that aspect of it more. I think it's a little weird he named his cat after her and after his first love, but we'll digress from that. Overall, it was okay. I wouldn't be running to recommend it, but it wasn't terrible and I finished it. Coming in at number 9, we have the Korean drama Little Women. Now, I started Little Women because of one of the actresses, and I wished that I had liked it more. I really did. Little Women is about 3 sisters with a close bond who grew up in poverty. It is the exciting story of the sisters as they get embroiled in a major incident and face off against the wealthiest family in the nation. Kim Go-eun plays the eldest sister, Oh In-ju, who wants to protect her family with money. Growing up in extreme poverty, her only dream was to live as well off as other normal people. The second sister is played by Nam Ji-hyun, and she is Oh In-kyung, and she is a news reporter who basically just wants to take down chaebols. That's one of the things that she's very passionate about, and she is constantly digging for the truth. Now, their youngest sister is Oh In-hye, and she is overwhelmed by the love of her older sisters, not so much from their mother. Their mom and dad sort of like take off and aren't around for most of this drama. However, she is extremely talented in art, and this very rich chaebol family, who is the one that they're fighting against and all of that, is the one who sort of starts sponsoring her, in return with her basically making their daughter look like she's a good artist. The youngest daughter does all of the art for the rich girl. Rich girl gets the credit, gets to go to fancy art school, and brings the daughter with them in order to make it keep going. Now, I did really like the initial mystery of this drama. I thought it was really interesting, but I had a really hard time following the money aspect of it and the money laundering and where everything was going. And it just was kind of complicated for me. It wasn't something that like I could just like sit down at the end of the day and like just kind of watch like to watch. I had to like very focus in on it, which was like fine. It's not my typical style of Korean drama, which is why I think I didn't like it as much. But if you're into mystery and a little bit of crime and also just like the darkness of the wealthy, I feel like you would like it. Coming in at number 8 is the Korean drama that I just watched from last year, which is Lee Dong-wook's Bad and Crazy. Now, Bad and Crazy is all about Soo-yeol, the competent bad boy on the police squad, regaining his humanity after meeting K, the righteous but crazy guy. Despite having a mere high school diploma, Soo-yeol is an accomplished member of the anti-corruption unit. He's ambitious, so he chooses pet cases of his superiors and produces their desired outcomes. Often that means turning a blind eye to injustice, especially if it stands in the way of those preferred results. Basically, it means his bosses pay him to throw the corruption under the rug. And what's interesting about this that isn't super explained in the beginning, but K is, I guess this is a spoiler, so just keep that in mind, but K is all in his head. No one else can see him. No one else interacts with him. He also cannot control him. So again, I don't typically watch a lot of crime dramas, but I watched this because of Lee Dong-wook. He's one of my favorite actors. I thought him and the other male lead have a really great chemistry. I think it's really interesting that you don't really see that no one else can see K until like maybe the 6th episode, when there's just a random scene where they're like in a fight scene and it jumps back and forth between the perspective of Lee Dong-wook talking to K and then the crowd of people he's fighting who just sort of like see him talking to himself. But K helps him have his more honest side and his side for wanting to take care of others and protect others, and also somehow gives him really great fighting skills, which I think is super funny, and also has a very strong desire to like reunite him with his ex-girlfriend, which I also really like. I thought that like their funny dynamic really lightened up the serious topic that was this crime drama, which is why I think I liked it more than I would have if it was something else. Coming in at number 7, we have Cafe Minamdang, which is yet again another somewhat crime-related drama. I feel like there were a lot of those this year, or maybe just a lot that fell into my lap to watch, but it stars So In-guk, which is why I decided to watch this. I've talked about this drama in some of my other videos, so I'm going to try and go a little bit faster into it, but he is basically a cop who got arrested and framed for something he didn't do, and when he is released from prison, he has a very strong desire to catch the real culprit, and for some reason, in order to do that, he decides he's going to become a fake shaman to fight crime and like solve this mystery and this murder and like take down again this wealthy chaebols who are relying on shamans. I studied Korean history and a lot of Korean culture and aspects in college, and one of the things that always fascinated me with the concept and the topic of chaebols is how connected shamans are to chaebols and how they rely so much on shamans, and also how there can be a heavy crime relatedness to that. So I thought that was a really interesting aspect of this drama. It was funny, it was charming. I thought that the romance that was sprinkled in throughout it was also really good. It wasn't too much, but it wasn't enough that you were like, this is like a weird mix. And right at the end, it gave a little plot twist that I thought might happen, but I kept doubting myself, and I'm really glad that they did it in the end. I am also wrong. Coming in at number 6 is another Korean drama that happened in 2021, and it is The King's Affection. This is a story set during the Joseon dynasty, and it is during a time when twins are considered to be evil and omniscious, and so the king orders his son and daughter-in-law to kill the daughter of the 2 twins that are born. Crown Princess, so their mother, saves the daughter, sends her off to live somewhere far away, and a few years later she ends up working as a maid in the palace as a little kid, not knowing she is twins with the Crown Prince. She and the Crown Prince run into each other. They decide that they want to switch places for a little while because he wants to go have fun and not get caught. So he convinces her to take his place, and while he's gone, he dies. And so the mother ends up helping hide her secret and turn her into the Crown Prince and eventually the king. Now, I liked this. It was really well done. I thought it was a unique historical drama. I really liked the romance aspect in it. I thought that was really done as well. I liked the male lead. I thought he was funny. I thought he was charming. I thought it was really nice. Now, the reason this is not higher up on my list is because, one, I have seen better historical dramas overall, but also there are better historical dramas that I have on this list. But I did really like this one. I thought the costumes were well done for the time period. They were very accurate. I liked that it had really beautiful scenery. It was easy to watch, and it had enough drama to keep me entertained and hooked, but not enough drama that I had to be like intensely focused on it, which, being busy with life, work, all of that, that's sort of my criteria for a really good Korean drama. All right, coming in at number 5 is 2521, which stars Kim Tae-ri and Nam Joo-hyuk. I love Nam Joo-hyuk. He hooked me in, and I really like all the things that I've seen Nam Tae-ri in, and I really want to see what else that she does. So this is a flashback Korean drama from the perspective of Nam Tae-ri's character's daughter reading her journals and learning more about her mom when she was younger. So it's in a time when dreams seem out of reach, a teen fencer pursues big ambitions and meets a hardworking young man who seeks to rebuild his life. Na Hee-do is a member of her high school fencing team. Her mother is a journalist who doesn't really want her to fence and just kind of wants her to focus on school. She's a single mom, and she really proves to her mom that she can do fencing and wants to do fencing. She also meets Baek Jin, who is Nam Joo-hyuk's character, and he is a upcoming reporter, and he ends up being a sports reporter. Now, this drama had great casting. I loved how unique it was in the sense that it was entirely flashbacks, and how you see it though through the perspective of her daughter reading journals, talking to her grandma, and bonding with her mom about the struggles that she's currently going with the fact her mom had gone through them, and like understanding why her mom is doing the things that she is doing to her now. She is a ballet dancer, her mom was a fencer, and they really line up in this drama. I loved the fencing aspect of this because I didn't know a lot about fencing, but I find it really interesting as a sport, and it was really interesting to watch it from, I believe this was set in like the early 90s, so it was really interesting also to see Korea in the early 90s, comparing it to the US. So that was really fun. However, my only qualm, and this is my spoiler for this, is you start the drama off knowing that they're not together, because the little girl is not his son. You already know that going into it. However, I would have loved it if they had ended the drama with her as an adult and him as an adult reuniting, and hinting at that being like another drama they could then do about the two of them reconnecting and falling in love. I get why they didn't, but a part of me really did want them to be together because I thought they were super cute. And I don't know, I would love to see the two of them in another drama together again because I thought they worked really well together and I liked their chemistry. But yes, highly recommend this one. I think it's super unique. It's not higher because there's so many good dramas that I watched this year. Coming in at number 4 is another Korean drama with Park Min-young, which is her better drama compared to Love and Contract, and it is Forecasting Love and Weather. I thought this drama was super cute. I hadn't really seen a lot of Song Kang. I've seen him as a second lead and like some smaller roles, so seeing him take on more of a male lead role, I was really happy to see because I thought he did a really good job. Romance drama about the work and love in the Office of National Weather Service, hotter than tropical nights and more unpredictable than localized heavy rains. It follows Jin Ha-kyung, who is an intelligent and highly organized individual who does everything by the book and is fastidious about keeping her personal and professional lives separate. She basically goes through the splitting up of her engagement to someone who was a journalist working in the weather station, and she decides no more inter-office romances until she meets Lee Si-woo, who is Song Kang's character. He is a young, quick-witted, very smart weatherman who is coming up in the ranks of the weathering system and ends up working underneath her, and the two develop a relationship of sorts. And what I really liked about this was it was a sweet romance drama, so if you're looking for something like that, definitely check it out. I liked how they connected the different weather issues that they were facing in their office with the different stages of their relationship. I also really liked seeing more about the weather system because I don't know anything about that. I don't know how that works, but also seeing it in Korea, I'm assuming it's similar to the United States. So I thought that aspect was also interesting and a unique setting for a romance drama because I don't see a lot of romance dramas being set in weather stations. I feel like it's typically office or historical or childhood, friends to lovers kind of a thing. So I liked that it was different compared to everything else that I had been seeing. I also really liked that there were times where the start of an episode would be full of flashbacks leading up to the current issue that they were having. So it was blended in really nicely with flashbacks, which is interesting that both of her dramas had flashbacks and this one was done well. But I really liked that aspect of it. I thought that also made it very unique for the type of drama it was. Here we go. We are starting off my top 3 with number 3. Keep in mind, I cried at all 3 of these dramas, starting with the most with Tomorrow. I cried pretty much every episode with Tomorrow. It is so good. I watched this because it's starring Lee Soo-hyuk, who is my favorite Korean actor. I think he's gorgeous. I think he plays amazing dark characters. I would love to see him as a main lead in something and not a second male lead. Please. He's stunning. He's gorgeous. Enemies to lovers. I need him in an enemies to lovers. Trigger warnings for Tomorrow. There are a lot of mentions of suicide and death. So if you are not comfortable with that, please keep that in mind and do not watch this. Tomorrow is all about Choi Jun-woong, who is looking for a job. He's having a hard time getting hired. One night he witnesses a man trying to jump off a bridge and saves his life, but ends up in a coma. And so he gets acquainted with two Grim Reapers whose names are Ku-ryeon and Ryung-gu, who belong to the crisis management team in the underworld. And they are in charge of preventing suicide. So after Jun-woong ends up in a coma, he becomes this sort of half-human, half-spirit, and is able to help them and start working for them. So he basically makes a deal that if he works for them for, I believe it's like 6 months, then he can go back to his normal life and have any job that he wants. But with the condition that he won't remember any of it happening. I cried almost every episode. They're all incredibly moving because it's all about preventing suicide or related to death in some way. And so because of that, it's a very emotional show. This was not something that I could just like turn on, but it was so beautifully done. I didn't care. I loved watching all of it. There's one episode with a dog, and if you cannot handle that, I totally get you don't need to watch it for the plot. I cried the entire episode though. One thing that's a spoiler that bothered me was the main female lead and Lee Soo-hyuk have a history together where they both knew each other and were lovers and married in a past life before they became Grim Reapers. And they start to remember that throughout the show, and that felt like it was unnecessarily sprinkled into the story because it wasn't fully touched upon. And I wished that the authors and the writers had either made them the main focus of the story or they just didn't include that at all, because it felt really rushed and thrown in the last couple of episodes. And I wished that they had just, you know, either included it in the beginning episodes more or not at all. I loved it. I wish they had just made it the entire plot. Like, forget the other guy. Like, have him be like a side character who helps the two of them figure out how they know each other, how they're connected, why they have these dreams about each other and have these dreams of their past, and how they're connected, and then maybe help them fall in love, because I feel like that would have been more interesting. But either way, I didn't write it. I don't have a say in it. Maybe they would do like a side story about the two of them someday, but overall, it was really great, and I highly, highly recommend it. Coming in at number 2 is a super, super unique drama with my second favorite Korean idol, Kim Woo-bin. Kim Woo-bin recently came out of his hiatus after being diagnosed with throat cancer, and this is his first drama since being back. He plays one of the characters in Our Blues, which is number 2 on my list. Now, Our Blues is set in Busan, Korea, and it is about a group of people who are all interconnected. Some of them went to high school together and are friends, some of them work together, some of them fall in love with each other, some of them have kids who interact with each other. And despite how many characters there were, they did a really beautiful job of connecting everybody's stories and making it really seamless in following each of the characters. I didn't have a hard time learning the, 12 to 16 characters that this followed, which was really surprising to me. It also had the most amazing cast. Like, if you look at the cast list for this, it's like A-list, top stars. And it's not like they've taken on like a really high role, so I think they all were really passionate about this story and also how it was shot, because it was so unique. Each episode is sort of split into the ending half, and the beginning half is one story, and then it blends into the next one. So it all continuously moves together with the different characters, and you really see how interconnected this community of people is and how they all take care of one another. And it covered a lot of topics that I was really surprised about. It covers teen pregnancy, it covers depression, it covers marital abuse, especially marital abuse in men and having the woman be the abuser. It covers friendship drama, it covers family drama between parents and children. There's a character in it who is autistic, which I was really, really excited to see. Also someone in it who is deaf and they use sign language, which I freaking loved. I loved seeing the inclusivity and everything in this drama. Just thought it was really, really beautiful and really well done. My number one Korean drama, which I'm so excited about, is actually a 2-part drama, and it's out right now in the second parts. I don't want it to end. It is called The Alchemy of Souls. Now, it is set in a made-up historical Korean world called Daeho. It doesn't exist in history or on maps, but it is highly influenced by traditional Korean clothing with like a fantasy twist, as well as the buildings. There is also fantasy involved. It's filled with like these kind of sorcerer mages who have like powers, and there's an ice stone, and it's very cool. The first part is the one I will be talking about, because if I talk about anything related to the second part, there will be spoilers. So keep in mind, if you do look up anything involving this drama, do not read anything about part 2, because it's continuing the story but in a different way with different characters that will spoil the ending for part 1. Follows the elite assassin named Naksu, and she is a soul shifter, and she shifts into the body of Mudok, who is originally blind and becomes the servant to Janguk, and also then his master in teaching him sorcery. I feel like there's not a lot I can talk about in describing the plot of this without giving away, so here are my thoughts on it before I mention any spoilers. The romance aspect in this is really good. The actors in it are really good. If you're into like fantasy historical dramas, highly recommend. I feel like it's rare for historical dramas to have the fantasy aspect in it if it doesn't involve something like a gumiho or spirits or ghosts. So I really liked this. World building is really well done. The actors and actresses are really well done. You connect to each of the characters a lot, which I also appreciate, because it didn't feel like there were any characters who were in there just unnecessarily. I love Naksu. I think she is a very powerful female lead character, and I really like her character. I just wish we would have gotten more of her backstory on who she was and how she came to be, but there is a chance that that still might happen in the second part. It is ongoing. I believe there are 6 episodes out, and there's only going to be 12, which makes me really sad. The first part does have 16. So yeah, if you're into fantasy historical dramas, definitely check it out. I love it so much. It reminds me of a lot of mangas that I've read, and a little bit of Yona of the Dawn, if you've watched that anime, so definitely check that out. Thank you so much for watching. If there were any Korean dramas that I missed during 2022, let me know what I should watch in the comment section down below, and I will check them out, and let me know your thoughts on any of these.